What's up, family? Welcome to Ask the Mods,
where we challenge you to stop playing and start pushing.
This is my cute wife, Iana.
And this is my handsome husband, Ayize. All right, y'all, we got a question in today that we're going to address. We're going to get right to it. Okay, the question is this. Why is it when you plan to get married, everyone begins to tell you about the bad times you're about to embark upon? Why can't you start off more positive than negative with marriage? This person says, I feel like I was doomed from the beginning. Sounds familiar. Because folks do tend to be pretty negative when they, talk about marriage and the old ball and chain and all that kind of thing,
Yeah. I mean, but I think that just in life in general, people have a tendency to overemphasize like the negatives of their daily existence versus, just talking about some of the good things that happen. And actually the reason why I think that people, talk about the negatives versus the good things is because they don't want to feel like they're bragging. They don't want to feel like they're, patting themselves on the back. They don't want to look like they're being pressed to applaud themselves. But in actuality, I mean, that right there can be infectious. If you just, give yourself a pat on the back or, speak about the positives, speak about the good, because there are goods that exist, in marriage and in life. So, we try to encourage people to talk about, the positive things versus always focusing on the negative. It's just easier to talk about the negative, but we need to be intentional about speaking on the positives too.
And I think I just agree with my husband that I think it's very critical for us to do this, because if you think about us in this day and time as black folks, most black folks are not married. That's just the bottom line. You look at the stats and we're just not married. And when young people or grown folks who are not married hear married folks talk about marriage, they're not encouraged. They don't want to get married. They're not looking forward to it because, as I've heard folks say, we're not a good advertisement for marriage. We don't make it look attractive. We don't make it look like something that's good. And there are a whole lot of benefits to marriage, a whole lot of benefits. So I think it's really important for us to really be intentional about making sure that we use good language and that we represent, and stop all of this foolishness in terms of just spreading negativity. And I do think also, like my husband said, that it's a part of our society, that it's one where we tend to be at war all the time, men against women, all the time, or single folks against married folks or what have you, versus just being able to uplift the positives in our lives on an everyday basis. So you're right. That happens all the time. Start to pay attention to how much you hear the negativity when it comes to marriage and when you're around married folks. And every time you hear that, why don't you go ahead and fight that back and say something positive?
Let me give you something positive real quick. My wife and I, we went out to dinner and to the movies this past weekend, and I told my wife that I was really amazed and pleased by the fact that we saw a whole bunch of beautiful black couples being all bunned up and stuff, going to see this particular black movie. And that right there was a beautiful experience. And while we were eating dinner, my parents actually happened to walk past the window, and I saw them bunned up too. So I mean, it's out there. The beautiful and the positives do exist, and we just need to make sure that we're intentional again, about lifting those up.
And surrounding ourselves with the right folks and the right people who are talking about the right thing. So, as always, stop playing, stop pushing.